Abby Anderson is without a doubt one of the most controversial characters in gaming history, and it is no secret as to why. Within the first 2 hours of The Last of Us Part 2, she brutally murders Joel, who after Part 1 became many gamers' favorite character of all time, including me. So when fans discuss this character, the argument quickly becomes toxic and heated. I don't want this to be like that at all. Instead, I want to have a civil discussion and deep dive into the reasons why I think this character is so hated amongst gamers and give you my take on it all. The most spoken criticism that comes from people who hate Abby is that Naughty Dog tries to morph her into a perfect hero who can do no wrong, ultimately making Ellie and Joel out to be villains. Many people found it impossible to empathize with Abby after watching her kill Joel and found it silly that anyone could even think that liking her is possible after seeing that. I think a large part of it comes down to how long we were waiting for Part 2. I mean, we were waiting 7 years. In that time span, expectations for what was to come were through the roof. And so when the game took those expectations and threw them all out the window, giving us a story that no one saw coming, it left the fandom divided. And another huge factor in this communal hatred for Abby were the leaks. About 2 months before the game released, we all know that cutscenes and story beats were leaked online, and in minutes they were everywhere. And wouldn't you know it, one of those cutscenes was Joel's death. Gamers immediately went in the rage, and before you knew it, there were death threats and groups saying that they were going to boycott the game. And this was all before anyone even got their hands on it. When the game finally did release, it was met with unanimous critical success and a very split audience response. Within the first 2 hours of the game being released, and I mean the first 2 hours, it had been review bombed on Metacritic and was down to a 2. So yeah, there are a lot of factors as to why this character would never be given a chance by certain gamers. Now as for my take, I think that hating Abby and wanting her dead during the first half of the game is exactly how you're supposed to feel. From Ellie's perspective, this woman murdered her father figure, the most important person in the world to her, and went home. How could we possibly think anything different of this woman other than I want this bitch dead? But then we see Abby's side. I remember, honestly, grunting and saying to myself, they are not about to have me play as this motherfucker when we switched to Abby. But by the time Seattle Day 2 came along for Abby, yeah, I was hooked. By the end of the game, I cared about both her and Ellie so much that I did not know what to think or feel during that fight on the beach other than shit. Now obviously, if you didn't feel an emotional resonance with Abby, whether it was because you made up your mind on her before the game even came out, or the writing just genuinely didn't connect you to her character, then yeah, of course the game is not going to work for you. But for me, I found myself invested in her to the core, and when the game was done, I was in love with her character, and even more in love with the world that Neil Druckmann and Bruce Straley gave birth to all those years ago. Thank you all for watching this video. I really enjoy making videos like these, and I really want to make more of them on the channel, and I still want to play a bunch of factions, but every now and then I just get burnt out and don't feel like playing it. So I really enjoy making these, so I'm going to keep making more of them if you guys like them. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you in the next video.